Welcome back, action figure fans. Gonna be doing another awesome video here for you. 10 amazing figures that I randomly pulled off my shelf. 5 good guys and 5 bad guys. We're gonna be looking at some DC characters today, some DC Direct, some DC Multiverse classics. And there we go. That's the 10 figures we'll be looking at. Okay, moving back here to the DC Direct. This is a new god. His name is Light Ray. And this is highly stylized to the artwork of Jack King Kirby. They put out a line of new Genesis, new god figures in his style, and I think they're really, really cool. I always like when they pick particular artists and they put out a line of figures showing that style. I think it's really cool. So, as far as I know, DC has put out 2 Light Ray figures, this one and then one in the DC Classics line. So there's not a whole lot of Light Ray figures to choose from in the DC universe. And this is one of them. What a great paint job. I love the little shininess of it. It's like little glitter there in the white. Hopefully you can pick that up and see that. But that's a cool figure. I like the new gods. And that's a nice Light Ray. Speaking of highly stylized, Edward McGuinness. I think that's his name, Ed McGuinness they call him. He did a line of DC figures as well. I really like his artwork. It's so big and blocky. And it looks so good on the page. And so they put out a line of figures. Superman obviously was one of them, but you don't see this too often. Superman has some highly sophisticated robots that work for him. Sometimes they will even impersonate him because they can fly and they're super strong. Not as strong as Superman, of course, but he's got a series of robots, and this is a very cool Superman robot figure. And it looks great. What a nice paint job on him. I love that blue. And the Superman figure looks just like this, but it's obviously flesh tone. So that is a great figure. Superman robot. Usually in the comics they have numbers. This one does not have a number on him. But anyway, looks cool. Okay, moving on to a classic DC classic figure. This is Jonah Hex. He really is a, cowboy. He was a Confederate soldier, and he's been a time traveler. He has come into the future to work with various heroes. And he's, in his time, he's basically has become a bounty hunter. And you can see he's been horribly disfigured. So, once again, I think they've made 2 Jonah Hex figures. Not very many. They're not going to make very many figures of characters like this, right? I mean, these are very, very minor characters, so they're not going to make a whole lot of them. But the ones they do, it's great. It's always good to get minor characters for your collection. Just makes things stand out. Okay, moving on to a DC Direct. This is from the storyline Blackest Night. It is Hal Jordan, obviously. And this is where he was a combination of the Green and Blue Lanterns. Blue Lanterns can, traditionally, what they do is they boost the power levels of Green Lantern. So if a Blue Lantern is close to a Green Lantern, that Green Lantern becomes much, much more powerful. So here we have a figure showing basically Hal Jordan having a green and blue ring at the same time and becoming very, very powerful. And I like the way it looks. It's definitely an unusual Green Lantern figure showing the mix like that. And so I like it. There you go. Okay, moving on to a very cool Supergirl. Very, very well done. One of the best Supergirls they've put out, I believe. I believe this is the DC Essentials line. And they did a great job with this line. And this is a typical figure from that line. They capture everything almost perfectly. So she's looking very stoic there, not looking angry, not looking happy, just looking like she's ready to take care of any kind of business. I do like the boots. I like it that she's not showing a bare, her stomach is bare. I like it when her stomach has the costume on it. So it's just my preference. So this is a really, really nice Supergirl figure. And it looks great. I guess her hair could probably be a little more yellow, but otherwise it's pretty much perfect. Okay, moving on to the bad guys. Okay, so Jim Lee did a storyline called Hush. I'm sure you guys probably know of that. A lot of you do. And talk about an amazing artist. Jim Lee is just one of the best. And so they came out with a line of figures from his storyline, Batman Hush. And the Scarecrow was a part of that storyline. And they've made two versions of this exact figure. One is a little bit darker brown. This is a lighter brown. And one was a single carded figure. One came in a box set with Batman. So this is the boxed set Scarecrow right here. And man, they've did such a good job. The Scarecrow is extremely skinny and bony, and they did a great job capturing him, and his face looks really good. Looks scary, which he should be. Okay, so that's a cool Scarecrow figure. Okay, moving on to a TV figure. Okay, The Flash TV show. I watched 5 seasons of it, and I thought it was pretty good. There were moments of brilliance, and then there were some not so great, but this is Zoom. I mean, really, I kind of look at him saying he's like the Dark Flash or the Death Flash, but the figure, the packaging just says Zoom on it. So he was in the line, a Build-A-Figure line that was King Shark, which was an amazing Build-A-Figure. I think I've already shown that to you in one of my earlier videos. But he looks cool. He looks like a Death Flash to me. He is just Zoom. So, nice looking figure. I always like having variations of the Flash and bad guys. And so there he is, Professor Zoom. Looks great. Probably he's got to be with Hitmonkey for the Marvel Legends. Got to be probably the smallest Build-A-Figure they've ever done. And so his name is Professor Psycho. And he's just some total little maniac that can invade your brain, has all kinds of mental powers, and he's definitely a psychopath from the comic books. And so this was a little tiny Build-A-Figure that they put out, I believe, in a Wonder Woman line. And look, I like big Build-A-Figures, but, you know, I like getting Build-A-Figures any way I possibly can, and it was nice to get this figure. It's the only figure of Dr. Psycho they've ever made, and so I'll take it. Wherever I can get any kind of new figure made, I'll take them. So there's Dr. Psycho. All right, moving on to another Hush figure. This is Harley Quinn. And they made like 3 different versions of this figure for that Hush storyline. She was also a boxed set. She came with, I believe, the Joker. And so this figure, the paint job is much more shiny. It's almost kind of like a chrome finish on her. This particular figure, though, is very fragile. And one of my figures, I barely moved its arm, and its arm snapped off. This figure is known for breakages. And I gotta say it, DC Direct puts out great stuff, but their stuff is known to break. A lot of times the plastic pins will kind of degrade over time, and when you just move the arm or leg, they snap. And so I've had to do many repairs on my DC Directs, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. The quality of plastic is not always there. So my advice when you buy these figures, especially if they have small arms, thin arms, is just put them on the shelf, look at them, but don't be bending them around too much. And if you do, just make sure you have some really good super glue handy. All right, she's a good Harley Quinn looking figure though. Looks great. Okay, we have a Build-A-Figure. So the first Wonder Woman movie came out many years ago, and I really, really liked it. I thought it was one of the best DC movies they'd put out, and the main protagonist, bad guy, was Ares, the god of war. I thought they did a great job in that movie, and this is the Build-A-Figure of Ares from that movie, and he looks great. They also did a DC Direct put out an Ares figure from the comic books, and it looks, I think, even better than this one. But for the movie, this is spot on, and it looks really, really good. That's a cool looking Ares figure. All right, so there we go. That's the 10 figures for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Please check out my other videos. If you like this video, I'm sure you'll like my other ones. Remember, I'm making these for you. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you're liking and tell me some things that you might like to see in the future. All right, take care.